All right, everyone, welcome to the City of Chino Hills Council Candidates Forum, brought to you by the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce and our sponsor. The purpose of the forum is to allow voters an opportunity to learn more about the candidates running for Chino Hills City Council. We hope the information provided during this forum will help voters make a more informed choice as they head to the polls in the coming weeks. My name is Will Fleet. I'm publisher of the Chino Valley Champion newspaper, and I'm a board member on the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce. I'm delighted to serve as your moderator this evening. Jeff Vaca of Ultimate Source, and also a board member of the Chino Valley Chamber, will be serving as our timekeeper, this Jeff over here. We'd also like to offer special thanks to our sponsor for tonight's forum, Jim Gallagher of Dog Park for Chino Hills. Jim? Thank you, Jim, for helping us put on tonight's forum. The format for this evening includes a 2-minute opening statement from each candidate, a question and answer session, and a 2-minute closing statement from each candidate. This year we have 4 august candidates here with us tonight, and we thank them for showing. The candidates were randomly assigned seats prior to the start of the forum, and the seats are important because that's kind of the order that we move in. And we will start, we will introduce the candidates now, and we will start from District 1, Mr. Ray Marquez. Also from District 1, candidate Norman Liu. From District 4, candidate Diego Fernandez. And also from District 4, Brian Johsz. So let's get started with the opening statements. And Mr. Marquez, we will start with you.
Thank you, sir. First of all, everybody that's here tonight, thank you for attending. I truly appreciate it. My name is Ray Marquez. I'm the mayor of Chino Hills. I've been a resident for 38 years, married to a beautiful lady that's actually, she's here today, so I have to acknowledge her, Barbara Marquez. Love you, honey. Thanks for being here. I have 3 sons that basically grew up in Chino Hills. I was a firefighter for 28 years. I served on the fire district for 7 years, total years of 35 years in the fire service. Community involvement, Little League manager for many, many, many years. I was president of Canyon Hills Little League, just like Mr. Rogers back there. Was coached with AYSO Soccer and Junior All-American. City involvement, incorporation committee, that was the first thing, when you live in a community, you gotta get involved. So I was part of incorporation right at the beginning. I was on the planning commission for a couple years. I served on the Parks and Rec Commission for 12 years, and I was elected in 2007 to the fire district. I was elected to city council in 2013. My council assignments are well over 30 different committee assignments. I'm very busy, I'm very active, I care about my community. Leadership positions, Cal City or League of Cities, I'm on the board of directors, president of the Inland Empire Division, board of the Latino Caucus, legislative committee, and chair of the Public Safety Committee. For SCAG, or Southern California Association of Governments, I'm on the Executive Administration Committee, the Regional Council, and chair of the Transportation Committee. SBCTA, or San Bernardino County Transportation Authority, I'm on the Board of Directors, General Policy, and chair of the Transit Committee. The next 4 years, I do have some goals. First of all, public safety is very important to me. Obviously, I was a fireman. I would like for us to work on Prop 47 to repeal it. AB 109, AB 57, and AB 47 are issues as far as people breaking into houses, stealing cars, and shoplifting. Traffic in Chino Hills is something that I'm very concerned about. I want to sort of take a look at that. I have a coalition of people from 3 different counties working together. Hopefully, we'll get the 71 done within the next 40 years. Carbon Canyon, restrict truck traffic. I've been working on that now for about 6 years. Last time I was mayor, Mr. Rogers helped me with that, and we're very passionate about restricting truck traffic in Carbon Canyon. Housing is a big issue. Throughout all of California, we have to build 1.3 million houses in Southern California, and it's been an issue and a problem.
That will be time.
And that's it. Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Jeff, I'm not sure you can see it from the angle.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Fernandez.
Hi, my name is Diego Fernandez. I work as a peer advisor at Mount San Antonio College. All this means is I help guide low-income students transition from high school into college, which is essential considering a college degree is almost directly tied with economic mobility. I am also the president of Mecha de Mount Sac, was on Mount Sac's nationally recognized speech and debate team, and was part of Mount Sac student government, where I had to deal with budgets in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. I am the only candidate who has lived here in Chino Hills all of my life, and I love participating in our city's Little League and AYSO, or actually volunteered as a coach. Currently, my family is Adopt a Park volunteer at Cinnamon Park for the last 4 years to beautify our neighborhood. The newspaper, the San Bernardino County Sentinel, describes my opponent as something of a creature of government. I like to think of myself as a dynamic new voice for Chino Hills. I'm running for city council to bring new solutions to our city during a time of inflation. I want to establish broadband internet to Chino Hills for residents to pay less for faster internet speeds. I also want to lower skyrocketing energy prices by bringing more affordable, renewable energy to the city. I pride myself from being the Los Serranos neighborhood in Chino Hills, and if elected, I would be the first person in history from Los Serranos to be on the city council. A dynamic new voice for a diverse new community is long overdue, and many already agree with me. This is why I'm endorsed by Pomona City Council members Victor Preciado, Nora Garcia, John Nolte, Three Valleys Municipal Water District Division 1 Director Carlos Goitia, the UFCW 1167, the Inland Empire Labor Council AFL-CIO, resident Brenda Walker, Chino Hills High School teachers Bill Acker and Raul Gomez, and Pomona Mayor Tim Sandoval. As a community united, we are stronger. Thank you.
Thank you. Your opening statement, Mr. Liu.
Well, it's my turn, right?
It is.
Okay. First, I wish to thank the City of Chino Hills and the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce for hosting this event and give us all a chance to present our campaign to our fellow residents. My name is Dr. Waimin Lu. You can call me Waimin or call me Norman. My wife and I have lived in Chino Hill for more than 20 years. We love the city, many trails and parks that Chino Hill has to offer, and take advantage of them every day. I talk to the residents on the trail and in the park, so I understand what the city residents want. I earned a Doctor of Optical Engineering from Nankai University in China and BS and MS in Physics from Cal State Northridge. I was a professor and program director in Pasadena City College for 44 years. And I was a chairman and professor of optical engineering in University of Laverne. I am the proud founder of the nonprofit organization called CASH, namely Chino Hill Chinese American Association of Chino Hill, which exists to help bridge the culture gap between our Asian population and all our other residents. I'm a successful business person. I start creating about 3 different organizations in corporation, in high tech, and property management. So I'm here before you today to bring this experience and offer my service to the residents of District Number 1 and the entire community of Chino Hill.
Thank you, Mr. Liu. Mr. Johsz.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much to the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce for hosting this. Thank you to Jim, apparently, for your role in this. It's appreciated. Hello, good evening. My name is Brian Johsz, and I guess I'm a creature of government, to which experience is important. I was your mayor last year throughout COVID. I've been on the city council for 6 years. Prior to that, I was elected to serve on the Chino Valley Fire Board for 2 terms, where I served as president, along with Mr. Marquez. He was a president as well. This is the community that I chose to raise my kids in. I'm not from here. I was born in I was born in LA and grew up in Orange County, but I knew that this was the community I wanted to raise my 2 kids in. My 2 kids are going to school, public school here in Chino Valley, in the Chino Valley Unified School District. My wife teaches here. This is our home. This is the community that we love and that I've worked at, serving all of you, and I asked for another 4 years. It's been a fun couple of years to work throughout COVID. I think our city's come through it stronger. We've focused on what really matters. We've focused on ensuring businesses are still here, and I think our businesses are. We focused on public safety. We've focused on protecting open space. We've done a wonderful job as a city, and that's why I'm running for re-election. I'm proud to be endorsed by our police officers that serve Chino Hills on a daily basis. I'm proud that we are in the midst of building our 4th fire station in my city council district at the corner of Pipeline and Sokol Canyon to help ensure public safety here and to reduce our call response times for our firefighters. Just a little about me. I've been in solid waste for 8 years. Prior to that, back to being in government. I was the Deputy Chief of Staff for a county supervisor. I have a bachelor's degree from Berkeley and a Master of Public Administration from Cal State Dominguez Hills. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Johsz. Okay, now we will be moving on to the Q&A segment of the program. The candidates have not received advance notice of the particular questions that will be asked this evening, and this we hope will encourage candid responses. The questions are a combination of those received in advance from the community and chamber members, and those prepared by members of the chamber's Legislative Action Committee. Candidates, you will have up to 1 minute, 60 seconds to answer each of the questions. As we did earlier, please keep your eye on Mr. Vaca, who will have the cards to help you stay within the time constraints. So we will alternate who goes first for each question, and we will start with Mr. Ray Marquez. We'll answer the first question first, and we will move this direction. So the first question is, what are the 2 top issues facing our city, and how would you address them?
Sure. First one is public safety. I talked a little bit about Prop 47. We're having a problem not just in Chino Hills, but throughout all of California. We now make a felony that was a few years back. There were felonies, now they're misdemeanors. So people are breaking into houses. People are stealing cars, catalytic converters, shoplifting. It's a problem, and these are with a group of people. It's not an individual. So I'm on the chairperson for public safety for League of Cities. So one of my goals is actually to get that repealed in 2024. So that's one of my things. The other one is traffic. Obviously, we all know we live in Chino Hills. There's problems with the 71 traffic. I'm trying to get people together from LA County. Tim Sandoval is a good buddy of mine, the mayor, from Riverside and actually San Bernardino. And we're trying to come up with a solution to the problem to be able to fix the 71, the last 3 miles to the 91. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Diego Fernandez, same question.
The 2 basic issues that are facing Chino Hills right now are inflation and development. Everyone in this room and in this country has been hurt by inflation, and unfortunately this city council has been struggling to find an answer, which is why I'm proposing for broadband internet, which 2 weeks ago in the Chino Candidate Forum, you yourself, Mr. Fleet, asked the candidates about do they support broadband internet, and everyone agreed. And they just weren't sure about funding, but Greg Marquez stated that there are grants, and I searched it up, and just last year, Gavin Newsom passed a bill where there's $6 billion in grants for the city to do this. On top of this development, we're seeing much of our open space, our green open space, being taken away to development. And I feel a way to save this, but also meet state mandates, is to continue building like we're doing at the shops, where we're seeing houses and development together. This way, we save our green open space, but at the same time, have people that live next to these businesses, will shop at these businesses, and not only that, but they'll work at these businesses. Because of this, we'll actually make our local businesses stronger and keep our housing mandates good.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Norman Liu, same question.
Yeah, my top concern is to ensure safe neighborhood for all residents, not just certain pocket of residents, like Carbon Canyon or in some other area. We are concerned, all residents, because around my street have a lot of burglaries, okay, but nobody care, okay. So this is a major issue, why I come to here today, to voice my neighbors' concern about the safety, residents, and neighborhood for all. And then to respect and to respond to all residents' rights and interests. It's not just for certain group. Okay? We have a tons of Asian America in here. We never be consulted. This is the lack of communication. The second one is
Mr.
to
Liu,
keep
your
and
time
maintain
is
the
up.
high-quality parks and trails.
Time is up, Mr. Liu.
Okay, fine, no problem.
Mr. Johsz, same question.
All right. I think to echo what Mayor Marquez said, public safety certainly would be the top priority. You know, I had served on the League of Cities Public Safety Committee, and to Ray's point, Props 47 and 57 have really had a great impact. You know, when felonies are now downgraded to misdemeanors, that means more people are walking the streets. And with AB 109 being passed, that shifted prisoners from state prisons to county jails, when county jails are only meant to hold somebody for less than a year. That's why we're seeing this. It's because of our state legislators. It's because we are seeing the direct impact of their votes in letting criminals out onto our streets. And my second point would be, you know, Sacramento is also is forcing us to develop. You know, with our RHNA numbers, our regional housing needs assessment numbers, and with forcing development on all of us, this is what you're going to see. You're going to see things change. You're going to see traffic continue, and it's through state effort. So we need to continue to fight that.
Thank you. Okay, now we will move on to the second question, and we will start with Mr. Fernandez. And the question is, the city of Chino Hills is expected to add 3,700 new residences by 2030. How would you help improve infrastructure and ease traffic in the city?
So, like I mentioned before, with my top two issues, the way we can alleviate all this development so it won't take away our green open space is by having the new housing be put with businesses. For us, this is a foreign concept here in the United States, but in Europe, Latin America, and all over the world, this is commonplace. It builds a community, a walkable community, everything's close, people have jobs where they live, people shop where they live, and this will help us. And to improve and alleviate traffic, bring back the buses that we had here in Chino Hills and Chino. They went all around here, and residents were able to go around, and it takes away car space. If you have 5 people taking a bus, that's 5 less cars on the streets. And the problem was the city council just couldn't find a way to advertise it, and people just didn't want to use it or didn't know about it. If we could have the bus stop at essential areas in the city, like businesses, Harkins, etc., we could have better local business and see traffic alleviate to accommodate these state mandates. There's a solution for these problems, and it's not just Sacramento.
Thank you. Mr. Liu, same question.
Yes, we should build more affordable housings, in which case Ray Marquez done a good job on that. He has negotiated about 3,729 units to be built in the next few years. That's a good point. That's a good direction. And then I highly agree with Diego, building the mixed uses of buildings, meaning downstairs is commercial, upstairs is residence. So this is will become a win-win situation for business and residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Johsz.
All right, thank you. This has been something that the City Council has had to tackle. We've gone through the process of meeting our regional housing needs assessment numbers, and Ray argued to at the Southern California Association of Governments to reduce the number that was forced on Chino Hills. He did a great job, but we understand that we all have a part to play. And so throughout this entire process, we've had dozens of meetings with the city, at the city council, at the planning commission, at all of our commissions to get everybody's input on this. And so that's why we've done a housing overlay. When it comes to building affordable housing or building housing, a lot of it comes down to property rights as well. People own parcels, people own shopping centers, people own this, and we will give you the tools to make, housing accessible. But we aren't going to force any parcel owner to do something in particular. So, we've certainly done everything we can to fine-tune the regional needs that we have. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you. And Mr. Marquez, you've
Thank you,
been
sir.
mentioned a couple of times.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. First of all, our arena cycle for the 5th cycle, which was the last 8 years, our obligation was about 800 units. This next cycle is set 3,729 units. If you look throughout Chino Hills, there isn't a whole lot of property to develop. So we're looking at golf courses. We're looking at behind mobile home parks. There's certain areas that we're looking at. We're looking at some retail centers. So we're basically looking at all our options. Yes, mixed use is probably the solution to the problem as far as 3,729 units. And regarding, I sit on the Metrolink board and Omnitrans. We have a thing called OmniRide. Yes, we did lose the bus system, but we have a better system. It's an app system. So in other words, if you want to go anywhere in the city, you dial it up just like Uber, and you can go anywhere in the city. So it is a good program, and we're working on trying to do a better service with Metrolink and in the surrounding areas to basically build closer to transit. We don't have transit in Chino Hills. Sorry about that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So we will move on to the next question now, and we'll start with Mr. Liu on this one. The question is, what is your plan and/or vision for the city regarding small business and commerce?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought the question up. We should be more friendly to the small business. And then to speeding up the process to getting permit, speeding up the process to getting business license. So this is my major concern, is the city responds not too quick to our residents' need. So we'd like to improve the city to respond quickly to a resident's request. Sometimes I put up a request, and people put up the request around Chino Hill for certain thing to do, and I'm sorry, city will delay about 2 or 3 months. It's sad. It makes me cry.
Thank you, sir.
It's not effective.
Mr. Johsz, same question.
All right. I think throughout COVID, we certainly saw the city step up. We had received federal funding through the ARPA program. And if you follow us as a city, you saw we went out and individually handed out checks, taxpayer funding from these businesses back to them to keep their doors open. It was amazing to see, dry cleaners, when people aren't going to work, when people are staying at home, they weren't able to keep the lights on. We had hair salons, we had all of these small businesses in town. And as a city, we prioritized making sure they were able to keep their employees employed and keep their lights on. And thank goodness the bulk of them were able to continue to stay employed. When it comes to permitting, I think as a city we do a good job. We're a responsive city. Nobody's perfect, to say the least. But anytime we get complaints, we'd love to hear it from anybody when it comes to improving our efficiencies. Thank you.
Thank you. So small business and commerce, Mr. Marquez.
Sure. We as a community, we're sort of a small community. We're about 79,000 people. As the mayor, this past year, I try to go and visit as many businesses as possible, so I'm available. I'm going to give you my cell number. Any business out there that has any issues or problems, please call me on my cell, 909-226-6537. I get phone calls. Matter of fact, I was in the Mediterranean about a month ago, and I was getting calls about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I am dedicated to this community. I've worked with the chamber. We just had a chamber meeting probably 2 months ago with business owners. I've listened to them. We try to make changes here at the city, and I'm dedicated to provide the services that are needed for our businesses in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fernandez.
Well, to help small businesses, I like to reiterate what Waimin said. He was on the ball that we need to be friendlier and speed up the permit process for small businesses. I worked with Diana, I believe her last name's Margaret, the owner of Infusion Zone. I worked for her, and a big thing that was a problem for her was those permit processes in the beginning, and that's kind of one of the main reasons why she joined the Chino Valley City of Commerce. And once again, to help small businesses. All this housing that's going to come to the shops, it's going to bring more money to these businesses there. The more housing we could connect to businesses and local businesses, especially small businesses, mom and pop stores like I've worked with Diana Margaret at Infusion Zone, we could see them survive in today's economy as it's going down. Thank you.
Thank you. So we will move on to the next question. This time we will start with Mr. Johsz, and the question is, what personal experience do you have that makes you a great fit for Chino Hills City Council?
Well, thank you for the question. I would hope the last 6 years has been a good indication. As a city, we've certainly grown. I've grown into my role as a council member, and then last year being our mayor. Prior to that, serving as president of the Chino Valley Fire Board, and serving 2 terms on that. Just professionally, I've worked on Capitol Hill. I've worked in DC. I've worked in Sacramento. Back to the government comment. I understand how government works. It's a different entity, to say the least. And that's where being involved in county government and being involved in the League of Cities and, as mayor, being involved with, our other national mayors, there's certainly a learning curve to it. You need to understand really how government works. It's not something that you pick up just at the drop of a hat. You have to understand truly what you're able to do and what you're not able to do, and a lot of things that people want to do you're not able to accomplish with government.
Thank you. Mr. Marquez.
Thank you, sir. First of all, I've been involved in a lot of different things at different levels. Obviously, as a fireman for 28 years, I was a union president there for about 10 years. So I had to work with government officials, I had to work with the city, and then also the community. I was part of incorporation. That was probably a 4-year process. I envisioned that this community would be the community that it is today, safe, family-orientated, and we've accomplished that. I've been on the Parks and Recs Commission. Obviously, we tried to make some improvements on the parks. We now have a park in Los Serranos. We have a pickleball court, and we have a dog park. So everything that I've been involved in at different levels helps me be the best council member I could be. And I'm here working for this community. My tagline is, Ray works for you. And that's what I do. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fernandez.
I believe I'd be a great fit for the Chino Hills City Council because, as I mentioned, I've experienced in student government. It was coming right out of COVID. I had to deal with the budget of hundreds of thousands of dollars. And the truth of the matter is there was a deficit because there wasn't students coming. So I had to work it out with the other students, and we balanced the budget. On top of that, I'd be a great fit for the Chino Hills City Council because, unlike the current council members, I receive no real estate PAC money. I'm funded and represented by the people. And on top of that, I'm endorsed by the Inland Empire Labor Council, which is a group of people from different unions. They get together and they vote who is the best person to represent a district. And they just so happen to endorse me, which I'm really honored by. And finally, I'm going to be a voice for Los Serranos that has been missing in our community for 30 plus years. And like I said, there's never been a city council member from Los Serranos. So I'd definitely be a fresh new perspective to our city.
Thank you. Mr. Liu.
Yeah, I have been in Chino Hills for more than 20 years. And I love Chino Hills, and even love the city councilman do a lot of things for our city. But personally, I could offer a lot more to the city because of my past experience in education and in business. And currently, I feel so sad in year 2020. I call certain councilmen, no reply. And email to them, no reply. What kind of city is like this? And I've been donated to a lot of city councilmen, and then no answer. When they need money, they ask me my help. And when a resident is in trouble, they don't even respond my call and my email. What kind of American system is like this? We need changes.
Thank you, Mr. Liu. On to the next question. We'll be going back to you, Mr. Marquez, to start us off. And the question is, how important is public safety? What are your thoughts on providing funding and support for public safety?
Public safety is very important. Our communities need to feel safe. Our families need to feel safe. And that's one of my number one priorities. Our budget for policing is over $20 million. And we have one of the better police departments in the community or county. Also, we invested over $1 million in a thing called ALPRs. What does that mean? Automatic license plate readers. Why do we have them? Because the uptick in housing crimes at the home, breaking in, stealing cars. We can actually, if some car is stolen, we know exactly where it is in our city, and we probably average anywhere between, I would say, 3 to 7 cars probably a month that we capture. Fire district, I was part of that for 7 years. We have one of the best fire departments. We're adding a new fire station in Chino Hills, and we're obligated to provide the very best service, and we're available. And one other thing I really want to say real fast if I can, trees in our community are very important to me, and anybody that cuts them down in open space, it's not right. And I'm not going to direct this question to any one person, but he knows who I'm talking about. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fernandez, public safety.
Could you repeat the question one more time? Just want to make sure I got it right.
How important is public safety? What are your thoughts on providing funding and/or support for public safety?
Well, first of all, I want to thank the Chino Hills Police. I don't see any of them here today, but I want to thank them for doing a great job for protecting and serving our community. We wouldn't be as safe if we are without them. But at the same time, the City of Chino Hills, we personally can do more. A study by the US AID, or AID for short, says that studies show that crime is connected to income inequality. And as we can see, the cities surrounding us actually have a higher level of income inequality than we do. So we could do better as a city by partnering with neighboring cities in order to help reduce income inequality and poverty. And hopefully with my endorsement from Pomona Council members and Mayor Tim Sandoval, I could do just that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Liu.
It's my turn?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a city have a 34% budget each year, approximately, okay? I'm not in a position, in a management position, but from the news, you have a 34% police service for the budget and 30% for park and trail maintenance. That's quite a lot, but you have to more efficiently use the money. And to me, the money is not used efficiently. And along the Rancho Hill Drive, a lot of burglary, a lot of break-in. So we should encourage the volunteer patrolling and do more than that. Then we'll keep our city more safe. And I'm urged anybody in the position of city councilman got to keep in touch with the residents. Don't just keep in touch with the top people. Bring down to the level. Care about our residents.
Thank you, Mr.
Walking
Liu.
around in the park.
Thank you. Mr. Johsz.
All right. as a police department and as a city, the Chino Hills Police Department is extremely efficient. If you look at our police budget versus that of Chino, two cities roughly the same size, our police department budget, or their police department budget, is the exact same size as our entire general fund. Going with the county sheriff's department has been a tremendous deal since we incorporated as a city. We've invested in ALPR. We've resisted efforts to defund the police. If anything, we've increased because we continue to have the state change laws on us. We continue to have Sacramento forcing more criminals into our neighborhoods, so we've had to sit there and spend money that could go into other places as a city and put it into reinforcing our sheriff's department. And it's not only the sheriff's department; it's also the fire department. Through the Blue Ridge fire, we were lucky that because of our fire department and our partnerships and our working with CAL FIRE that we didn't lose a single home, and that's why we even continue to invest in a fourth fire station. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question, we will start with Mr. Fernandez. The question is, what is the biggest issue facing our residents, and what is your plan to help address that challenge?
Well, once again, like I've been saying, the biggest issue that's affecting our residents and our country is inflation. Once again, I want to lower internet prices with broadband internet or making the internet a public utility. Once again, I want to lower your rising energy prices by investing in renewable energy through a process called community choice aggregation, which will bring cleaner energy to help us against climate change and at the same time have residents save money. By tackling inflation, we're helping residents save money, which we can't cut taxes and we can't raise taxes. But by doing this, we're having a whole new innovation that the current city council just simply either hasn't thought of or hasn't checked into it. And it's such a shame that someone who's 20 years old has to come up with these solutions while these people, these city council members, 4 of them have been in office for 10 years or more, and my opponent, he's going 6, going on for 10 years, and none of them have ever brought it up. So hopefully with a fresh new voice and the youth of our city taking charge, we can make a difference.
Mr. Liu, biggest issue facing our residents?
Yes, we have a 34% budget for police service and 30% of park and trail maintenance. Ladies and gentlemen, do you know Chino Hills has $54 million surplus? Why don't you put more care to the local residents? Okay? You have to care about local residents because local residents pay the tax for your council seat. Pay the tax to the city to maintain the good quality of management. I don't see that. So, where the $54 million going to use? Surplus. Keep it in the bank. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Johsz.
All right. Well, not to keep harping on public safety, so I'll move beyond that. But I think it really comes down to quality of life. As it's not only public safety, but quality of life are the 2 greatest issues we see as a city, and that's where people want to be in Chino Hills. People keep moving here. People want to make this their home. To the point about community choice aggregation for power, it's a failed system. Orange County has cities that have gotten into JPAs, and it has not worked out. As a city, if we're doing such a horrible job, you really want us to start our own power company? You want us to start our own internet company? No. No. The free market has it, and yes, the governor has signed, legislation to fund grants. Those are for older cities that don't have fiber. They don't have the infrastructure. We've got the infrastructure. So believe me, we've explored those types of issues to improve quality of life, and it's not something that works for this city. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Marquez.
Thank you, sir. First of all, I just want to clarify a couple things. First of all, property tax, we get 4% of property tax, of 1%. Other cities, our partner city, Chino, they get 15%. So we do so much more for a lot less. We do have $52,000 total monies available, monies, but some of it is restricted. Only $32 million is unrestricted. We do an excellent job. I just want to go back regarding people that endorse me. Every elected official endorses me for re-election. But you know what's more important to me? It's great that they endorse me. It's the people here in Chino Hills. I want your endorsement. So basically, I work very hard for you. And just going back to fiber, we are doing a project right now with Caltrans along the 71 that will be happening within the next couple months. And they're going to be putting fiber from Corona to Chino Hills. I sit on SCAG. We have millions of dollars we're getting from the state of California to be able to do projects in low-income areas. Thank you.
Thank you. And on the next round, we will start with you, Mr. Liu. And the question is, if you had to single out the most motivating issue for your candidacy, what would it be?
All the city government and the councilmen are supporting by local residents' taxes. I wish the city government more care about city residents. All the current mayors and the city councilmen talking about way above the top, about the government. Did they never mention any residents? The residents is our concern. Without residents in Chino Hill, where's the money come from? That's number one. Could you check with these current city councilmen? Did they ever walk into Angry Spring Park? Angry Spring Park is full of potholes everywhere. I've been complaining for so many times, no response. That's sad. Without residents, no taxes.
Thank you, sir.
I want them to care about our residents.
Mr. Johsz, most motivating issue.
You know, for me, the most motivating issue is family and friends, to be completely honest with you. It's not fun to sit up here. It's not fun to, to have slings and arrows thrown at you. But this, like I said in my opening statement, this is where I chose to raise my kids. This is our home. My wife teaches here in the district. I want this to be the city that they grow up in, that they can be proud of, to call Chino Hills their home. That's why I do this. That's my motivation. And my motivation is to make sure we have the best city, that we have the best parks, and we have the best trails. And I know we are the best city in the Inland Empire. I can quantify that. And it is because we have great residents like you. We have great people that step up and make sure that we are that. And you need good people on your city council. You need people that care and that they're doing it for the right reasons. And my reasons are my family and my friends, my neighbors. I want to make sure that our residents have the best amenities available. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Marquez,
What is the question again, sir?
if you had to single out the most motivating issue for your candidacy, what would that be?
You know what? I would like for us to have an open dialogue at City Hall. So there's people out there that don't feel like we do listen to them. So I want to provide a better service because I get emails. If somebody gives me their phone number, I will call them back. Story that I have to share with you guys right now is a gentleman, Brian Kong. He had a business in Chino. He lives in Chino Hills. He got broken into Chino. They got his license. They got his checkbooks. They broke into his house. They stole his car. He would go to the police department to get help. And he was frustrated. So he called me. Within 10 days, we got the police department, had a meeting with the chief of police, and we actually caught those people that broke into his house. So I believe that there's sort of a disconnect, that some people feel that, and I want to be able to bridge that gap. Because anybody that calls that wants something done in our city, they should get an answer and a response. So I want to do a better job. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fernandez.
Before I begin, I'd just like to respond to what Mr. Johsz said about community choice aggregation earlier. It's easy for my opponent to state that community choice aggregation is a failure in other cities when, if you follow the money in his donations, he's received over $1,000 from Edison International, the same company that would not want this happening in our city. This is, in fact, a conflict of interest to our residents where Mr. Johsz is siding with Edison rather than our residents to save money. Now, going back to the question, my main motivating issue is quality of life. As I've said before, I live in Los Serranos. We're the oldest community in Chino Hills, yet we still don't have completed sidewalks. And on top of that, I've spoken to many residents, and many of them who have lived here in Chino Hills for 20 or 30 plus years say that me, a 20-year-old, was the first person ever to knock on their house and tell them that I'm running for city council, which is ridiculous. A city as old as Chino Hills, founded in 1991, at least someone from the city council should be here to represent Los Serranos. Los Serranos has been left behind, and I want Los Serranos to be finally represented on the city council by being the first person from Los Serranos in city history to be on the city council from there. Thank you.
Thank you. We will move on to the next question now, and the first person will be Mr. Johsz. Question is, how do you plan to work with the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce to ensure that Chino Hills becomes and remains an attractive area for business?
Well, I think it's certainly something that we need to continue to be a part of. We're always annually one of the largest sponsors for the Chamber. We need to really focus on our Shop Chino Hills program. So much of our sales tax revenue, or so much of our tax revenue is derived from sales tax. And we have, our top 10 sales tax producers that we all know, the Costco's, the gas stations and whatnot. But we need to make sure we ensure that our residents shop here, that you don't cross the 71. If you're a member of Sam's Club or you're shopping at Target, please don't. Shop here in Chino Hills. But we do certainly need to make sure that we do a better job at that. But being a partner with the Chamber is a key. We throughout COVID, throughout all of this, we made sure to listen to the business community and we streamlined outdoor dining permitting. That was, the Chamber had asked us to do. We streamlined our outdoor advertising. We wanted to make sure that we were able to keep businesses going. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Marquez.
Thank you, sir. First of all, it's a privilege to say that Zeb Wellborn is a good friend of mine, personal friend. We collaborate a lot. We talk about businesses, things that we can do as a city to help the Chamber. We've actually had a couple of meetings where we invited businesses into Chino Hills. I was there. I listened to their issues and concerns. Deanna in Fusion, I just had a meeting with her probably 2 weeks ago. I had the city manager there. I had the public works directors there, myself. We listened to her because you know what? She felt like we weren't listening to her. And I had everybody there. She explained how she felt. We explained the processes. And she went into a business, and even though she's very sophisticated, very knowledgeable, there were some shortcomings with her and then also with us. But what we need to do is we need to make it easier for businesses coming into our city. I would like to have a video so we tell exactly a business what needs to get done before they even come to a permit to try to come into our city. I want us to be there 110% from the first step they come into City Hall till when they actually open up their business. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fernandez.
Well, I'd just like to reiterate what Mr. Marquez said. We need to make it easier for businesses to come in, and thankfully, the good thing about making the internet a public utility and community choice aggregation, it doesn't just apply to residents, but it applies to businesses too. So this means businesses, large and small, are saving costs. And that means when businesses save costs, they make more money. Businesses want to make more money, therefore, it would make no sense to oppose making the internet a public utility or making community choice aggregation happen. Who doesn't like to save money? Especially businesses, they love saving money. Kind of restated my point, but you get the point. And once again, working with the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce is essential. Mr. Marquez brings up the same point that I've researched Deanna, her problems, and as a worker, I want to make sure the best I could do for her business. And as a city council member, it would be no different. Just checking in with all our businesses, seeing what I can do. And like I said, it takes the youth of Chino Hills to find these solutions that city council members that have been here for 6 and 10 plus years just simply have not found for our businesses. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Liu.
Thank you. city of Chino Hills, among the Asian community, is not a friendly management places. So this has to be changed. We have a growing diverse population, especially in my district, called District 1, which is now 53% Asian. My desire is to reflect the proper need for Asian people. We are never consulted. We are never discussed about the city. Even though I personally know Ray Marquez, I personally know Art Bennett, but they never come to me about discuss how to improve the relationship between Asian community and the city government.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, so the next question, it looks, you may have already answered this one, Mr. Marquez, but you have to find another angle, I guess. When a resident comes to you with a problem, how would you work with them to resolve that problem? Do you have an example you can share?
Sure. First of all, what I do is I call them up, I invite them into City Hall, and whatever department that it affects, Mr. Cayer, grading issue in Oak Tree Downs. We had the Public Works Director there, myself, Public Works, we had Joanne Lombardo there. We listened to the individual, the issues that he's having on hand. My staff and myself come up with solutions. We come back to that individual so he knows he was listened to, and then we come up with a plan of action to get the job done. Mr. Cayer would be a prime example. I want to go back to Los Serranos real fast. Los Serranos, that's one of the cities that we put the most amount of money, grant money, well over $20 million. When we first became a city, when I was on the Planning Commission, we had a meeting in Los Serranos, and we said, hey, look it, you have all these issues and problems. They brought them to us. We came up with a plan of action. They didn't want to do anything, so they wanted grant money. And I get it. They didn't want LNLs. They didn't want CFDs. I get it. But we started coming up with grant money prior to Brian Jones being on the council. And since he's actually been on the council, we've actually gotten more money. So it's important to us. Los Serranos isn't forgotten. It's very important to this whole community. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fernandez.
Well, could you repeat the question again? I'm sorry.
When a resident comes to you with a problem, how would you work with them to resolve the problem? And do you have an example you might share?
Well, like I stated before, communication is key, and for the community of Los Serranos, there has been almost no communication whatsoever to the residents. Once again, this isn't just one person. This is dozens of people who tell me in their 20, 30 years of living here, 10 years living here, 8 years living here, not one person from the city council has knocked on their door, not one person from the city council has checked in on them. And a big issue for the Los Serranos is that we feel like we're voiceless. And when it came to having sidewalks in Los Serranos, like on my street, Gerd Avenue, it wasn't my opponent, with all due respect, Mr. Johsz, who came to my family's aid to see what we could do about our sidewalks. It was now retired city employee Nadim Majaj, and he helped us out and streamline and fast track our sidewalks. And Mr. Majaj told my dad, he basically told him, you did it, Adrian, that's my dad's name, you did it, Adrian, you got sidewalks on your street. And it was thanks to Majim and sadly not our city council. So first and foremost, we got to talk to our residents. And after that, then we take action like any other city council does. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Liu.
Yeah, it is not my top priority to respect and respond to all residents' rights and interests, and to respond quickly to residents' requests, because city residents pay the tax to support your council seat. Personally, I'm friends with the councilman, but I email to them and call them, no answer, in year 2022. And then finally, one of the councilmen called me, I will get back to you. But it never happened. And then next to no time, a sermon served in the top a doctor a lawyer's letter sent to my house. What kind of city councilman is like this?
Thank you. Mr. Johsz.
Thank you. With all due respect to Mr. Fernandez, I've actually been to your house. I met with Nadeem and with your father, Adrian, about that same issue. So I've been to your house on GERD. I was on Descanso last week talking with a resident about an issue they were having with trees that were in their front yard. So I think really what we need is we need to continue to be a council that is responsive. I think certainly some things might fall through the cracks when it comes to reaching any one of us, but between the 5 of us that you have on the city council now, we are certainly responsive to you. You know, we're not a big city. You can find any one of us. You can call us and get a response. You might not like the response. You might want trees removed, and then you do it yourself. But you might come to a council meeting and do that. But
we did come to the council meeting.
You did, and you were told something, and you decided to destroy city property on your own.
No way. No way.
Understood.
This is a very bad city councilman.
I'm a very bad city councilman.
Yeah.
So what it comes down to is it comes down to being responsive and actually working within the rules, working within the law.
It's not true what he said.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Johsz. We'll move on to the next question, and Mr. Fernandez, you will be going first. The city has 44 parks, but some parks, Torrey Pines Park as an example, do not get a whole lot of use. What can we do to repurpose these parks to be a better use to the community?
Well, before I begin, I'd just like to respond to Mr. Josz's comment. Mr. Johsz was at my house, but it wasn't just because my family complained. It was because most residents on the street complained that we wanted a stoplight, not sidewalks on our street. So it took multiple neighbors' efforts to finally get a councilman's attention, and not just one person. And I actually knocked on the door of the person that Mr. Johsz met on Descanso about the trees, and he views Mr. Johsz in an unfavorable light because he said Mr. Johsz never responded to his emails and just what we call in the youth terms ghosted him, just never responded to him. And it's really sad that this is happening to Los Serranos and hopefully not to the rest of the community as well. But going to your question for Torrey Pines, I love what the city's done with the mobile app so we could see our trails, our parks, and the rest of our beautiful nature here in Chino Hills. And we just need more recognition for these parks, like more signs, like when we had COVID banners all over the city. That was really influential because when you're driving around and there was nothing to do, that's what people see. And once again, when we have these banners promoting our parks and when we have city events, that's what gets the people's attention. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Liu.
It's sad about certain councilmen not saying the truth. But we do need the communication between councilmen and the city residents. That's the top priority for the city councilmen to respond to the residents' requests quickly. And personal experience, I called the city councilman. 1 month, no answer. Email to them, no answer. What kind of city councilman is like this? I really hate this. I want the city change. More city councilmen, more friendly, rather than treat the residents as enemy. That's bad. We pay the tax. We are the owner. And then the whole street of Rancho Hill residents was treated like a dirt.
Thank you, sir. Your time is up. Mr. Johsz.
All right, in terms of our city facilities, yeah, certainly Torrey Pines has been underutilized, and we are exploring options before the Parks and Rec Commission. We were looking at doing potentially tennis courts, and with other underutilized courts, like pickleball. Pickleball has been fantastic for this city. We've turned a park that wasn't being used into something that now is a magnet for residents. we have lots of families that come and enjoy it. And we're even going to be adding additional amenities at the park regarding pickleball. We've got a splash pad coming soon to the city, thanks to County Supervisor and former Chino Hills Mayor Kurt Hagman. We want to make sure that parks are utilized. That's why a lot of residents come here. They want the trail system, they want parks, but we want to provide you with the service that you want. So make sure to convey, and to Diego's point, make sure to use the app. Give us your feedback. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Marquez.
Thank you, sir. First of all, we have a responsibility to this community and the people who live in Chino Hills. So there's a thing called landscape and lighting. We have a deficit, and that deficit is getting bigger every year. What does that mean? Okay, we use water, with electricity, landscaping. We're looking between $3 to $5 million within the next couple of years, a deficit. So, what do? Then we have to cut back maybe policing or whatever. We'll find a solution to the problem, but it is an issue. So when you talk about having 40-something parks in Chino Hills, I, as mayor, has asked staff to look at these parks and make an assessment. If there's a park there that's not being used, then we need to have a discussion at council. We need to bring the community in to make a decision. Do we close that park down, or do we keep it open? But again, like I said, we're going to have a $5 million deficit, and that deficit every year is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. We did do one thing that I'm very proud as a council member. We bought our city lights. We put LED. We cut our expenses by 0.5% to save L&L. So our council has done a great job, and we're going to continue to do a great job. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. We'll move on to the next question now, and we'll be starting with Mr. Liu. This one's about economic opportunity. The Inland Empire appears to be positioned very well for economic growth in the coming years. What do you see as an economic opportunity for the city of Chino Hills, and how will you ensure that we take advantage of these economic opportunities but maintain a high quality of life?
Yeah, the city of Chino Hills is positioned very nicely. Basically, it's at the four corners. So in order for the Chino Hills city to grow, we need more friendly city councilmen, more responsible city councilmen, not just sitting in the office, talk to the big wheel. Go to the root to talk to the residents. If you do that, the city will grow faster. If you just ignore the city residents, just care about your big project, here big project, here big project. What I hear from the city councilman right now is big project here, big project. Did they ever mention about city residents? I want a city government care more about city residents. If you do, then the Chino Hills city will be growing faster. Otherwise, we'll end up like Montebello.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Johsz.
All right, I think we have so many young people growing up in this community, and we need to have good, well-paying, decent jobs. I think we see places like the old Great Indoors that was turned into a Kaiser laboratory. We need professional offices. We need more medical. We need more, architectural. We need to have Chino Hills be a place that professionals want to start a business and stay here. Chino Hills' greatest export is people. It's the husband that works in downtown LA and the wife that works in Irvine. And they live here because they can afford it. I'd rather have those residents stay here in Chino Hills, not, clog up our streets, but be able to actually, do their work and provide a service here in town. And we need to ensure that with all of the changes that we've had in retail centers and with just the market itself changing, that we're able to provide professional offices for these folks. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Marquez.
Thank you, sir. We are basically a residential community. But if you look at surrounding areas such as Ontario and Chino, Eastvale, and even the San Bernardino County, we are a logistics center, which means that goods come here and they're trucked. So that's an issue for Chino Hills as far as traffic in Chino Hills. You look at the 60 freeway, it's a parking lot. So we're having millions of square feet of warehousing, logistics, that are going to be built within the next 3 to 5 years. That's going to impact Chino Hills. So now we got to start looking at solutions to the problem. Pine Avenue is a solution. Euclid Avenue is a solution. In Pomona, we got to work with Pomona to help them, the second phase for the 71 to be improved to the 10 freeway. Also, we got to work with Riverside County to get the 71 fixed, so this way traffic will flow better throughout the cities. But we do have a lot of jobs. We're the 15th strongest economy in the world, San Bernardino County. So there's a lot of jobs now for the people that live here in Chino Hills. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fernandez.
As we talk about economic growth, it's important that we focus on the workers that already work here, as a lot of the jobs you see here in Chino Hills, they're working class, minimum paying jobs, such as Wendy's and such. They're just local mom and pop's jobs. And the thing is, in today's economy, not even that, just to live in Chino Hills alone, these jobs will not help you live in Chino Hills. We need to bring more businesses that can actually help you survive economically in this city, and the city council, once again, has not done its job in helping residents find these high-paying jobs that we could bring into Chino Hills from the businesses and the vacant lots of the businesses that are left. This is why the Inland Empire Labor Council and the UFCW 1167 endorsed me, because these unions see that our workers are being left behind as more and more businesses come that are not favorable to workers. And once again, as we look to raise wages and benefits, we have to take into special consideration small businesses, because small businesses don't have the same measures and things applied to as major corporations. Thank you.
Thank you. So on the next question, you will be batting leadoff, Mr. Johsz. The question is, the city of Chino Hills has grown substantially over the years. What type of growth is acceptable and what type of growth is not? What type of development are you in favor of for the future? Please explain.
Well, when it comes down to it, all of us as residents have a right to voice our opinion on how growth is going to go. Through state law and through our general plan, we, just recently went through updating our general plan to deal with growth. It's a blessing and a curse as a city that people want to live here and people want to continue to develop. A lot of times we see open space and residents don't necessarily understand that that open space is owned by a family. That space that's great-grandpa's property, and eventually that's their retirement plan. And at some point, it's going to be developed. And I believe in property rights. I believe that people that, have been able to have something zoned a certain way and been able to, have something entitled to be able to grow, that they should be able to. But that doesn't mean we need high rises next to, residential, development. We need to be smart about how growth is and find whatever is the best fix, whether it's mixed use or, another way. But that's where the our housing development general plan works. So I'm getting the red.
Thank you. Mr. Marquez.
Sure. Thank you, sir. First of all, our last arena cycle, like I said before, was about 800 units in 8 years. We have a big task. We actually have to zone for it. We're obligated by the state of California to build 3,729 units, not us, just to zone it for developers. What I'm concerned about is that we have a thing called SB 9. SB 9 is a property owner could actually subdivide his house in your neighborhood and build a fourplex. By law or by right from the state of California, they can do that, and we have no say-so. ADUs is another issue. ADUs are a good thing in certain areas, but we don't have a say-so. So now the state of California is mandating to the city on what we are going to be doing in the future. That concerns me. We need to start pushing back, and there's a program or a proposition called America Voice, where we're going to take back, hopefully, control over the development of our city. So that's something that I'll be working on the next 4 years to build a stronger relationship, to make sure that the state of California doesn't beat us up with all these units. Thank you.
Mr. Fernandez.
Could you repeat the question? I believe it was like a two-parter. Just want to get everything.
Yeah, it's, what type of growth is acceptable and what type of growth is not? And what
Okay.
type of development are you in favor of for the future?
Well, the truth of the matter is, none of us want this oncoming development, and there's hardly much we could do. We've seen results. I believe it was Newport. It was a beach city where they fought against the developments, and the state ended up actually just taking away most of their rights, and the state could do whatever they want, and the city had no input in it. And unfortunately, we have to put the mandated houses, but we need to make sure these houses actually bring economic growth to our community, which is why I'm heavily pushing for this housing business development like we're doing in the shops. Because of these houses that are going to be put in the shops, we're actually going to see economic growth in the shops, which is beneficial to everybody, because not only does it bring more business to us, it means the people who are going to live at the shops are going to have a community. And on top of that, shops, community, we're going to, more business for the shops, the community, and it raises, it brings in taxes for our city to help fund future programs.
Thank you. Mr. Liu.
Yeah, I agree with Fernandez. Yeah, we need to have a building with mixed uses of a building. That means this is the trend. We cannot stop it. That means in the upper floor is residence, the lower floor is business. That means the ground floor. If you're walking around in the shop, I didn't see too many people there walking around. They are in trouble. So we need a mixed building, not only to help out the business, but also providing affordable housing required by federal government. Thank you.
Thank you. So we will start with you, Mr. Fernandez, on the next question. It's a bit of a mouthful. The state is allocating substantial amounts of funding for environmental sustainability, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and economic development initiatives. So what is your plan to make sure the city of Chino Hills is proactive in those efforts to help support our community and our businesses?
Can you repeat that one more time?
Primarily, we're talking about state allocating substantial money for environmental sustainability, diversity, equity, and inclusion, along with economic development initiatives. And what is your plan to make sure that our city is proactive in those efforts?
Well, if this is what I think it sounds like my interpretation, then we should be using that money to, once again, invest in renewable energy, such as solar panels, such as our school districts have, which saves residents and businesses, large and small, money, which everyone needs to save money, especially during inflation. But even after that, it's a long-term investment for our city, which is a good investment. And on top of that, our city, as you know, has the Chino Hills State Park. We have 44 parks. It's something we take a pride of. So anything we could do to use state grants and funding to help improve our environmental aspects and use the environmental funds that the state is allocating money for and providing for would be really beneficial for our businesses, because if the state's doing this to help us spur economic growth, then there shouldn't be a downturn to this unless it's mismanaged by elected officials, which I doubt would happen in our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Liu.
Could you repeat the question?
Yeah. The state is allocating substantial amounts of funding for environmental sustainability, diversity, equity, and inclusion, along with economic development initiatives. What is your plan to make sure the city of Chino Hills is proactive in those efforts?
Yeah, I think the city of Chino Hills should encourage building more solar panels, apply to the individual housing. That will improve the energy efficiency. So solar panel is a good way to go from the scientific point of view. That's my answer. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Johsz.
I'm going to ask you to give it to me one more time.
Yeah.
Sorry. There's a lot in there.
The state is allocating substantial amounts of funding for environmental sustainability, diversity, equity, and inclusion, along with economic development initiatives. And what is your plan to make sure the city is proactive in those efforts?
Well, I think in terms of being proactive, I think you saw that when the city council ensured that we brought back the Tres Hermanos Conservation Authority. You know, we had, over 2,000 acres in between Diamond Bar and Chino Hills that at one point was going to be turned into a gigantic solar farm or other development. You know, we, as a city made sure to preserve that open space. We wanted to ensure that going into the future, some of the rural feel that our residents want in Chino Hills was going to be there. And, as, slowly as development starts to encroach on all of us, we need to have that open space, not just Chino Hills State Park, but also Tres Hermanos. So, I think we've been proactive, but there's always more work to go. And hey, if the state of California is going to pay for it, let's take them for all they're worth. So, thank you.
Mr. Marquez.
Thank you, sir. First of all, I would like to task all our commissions. We have a Public Works Commission, we have a Planning Commission, we have a Parks and Recs Commission. And I'd like to task them to figure out what do we need here in Chino Hills. Then at that time, they would come up with a list. We'd have community meetings, and then we'd try to fine-tune that list. And then at that time, we'd get our grant writers, because these are compatible grants. So we have over 491 cities throughout California. So even though the money's there, we got to compete for that money. So we got to make sure that we have a good plan of action to move forward. So that's what we need to do.
Thank you. Okay, so Mr. Liu, we'll start with you in the next round. Our next question.
Will you speak louder? Yeah.
Maybe I need to be closer to the mic. Okay. The next question is, there have been a string of business break-ins lately in Chino Hills. As a city council member, how would you deter such break-ins from happening in the future?
You said break-in, right?
Yes, like burglaries.
More patrolling and more volunteer, more volunteer to walking around on the street. So, and then encourage more people for neighborhood watch. Should encourage the neighborhood watch so that to avoid or minimize the break-in. Thank you. That's my concern.
Thank you. Mr. Johsz.
All right. I think as a city, we've certainly made sure to prioritize policing. We do see an increase, and that's why, as a city, we invested millions of dollars into the automatic license plate readers, and they've proven effective. An issue we have in Chino Hills is that people know our businesses are successful and that our residents are prosperous, and we're a target. We're off of the 71, the 91, and the 60. So, the crime we have is not homegrown crime. It's folks from other cities that make their way here. So, what we need to make sure to continue to prioritize is funding public safety. Every budget cycle we meet with the sheriff. We meet with the sheriff's department to make sure that we actually have adequate staffing. And thankfully, we've been able to meet that. But when people don't go to jail and they don't go to prison, this is what you get. And it's too bad. And, businesses and residents continue to suffer, but we're doing our best to try to stem that tide. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Marquez.
Thank you, sir. First of all, Brian sort of touched on this, ALPRs. It's really important, automatic license plate readers. We actually bought a piece of property in Carbon Canyon, because in Carbon Canyon, that was the only place we didn't have a camera. We have a camera there now. Yep. So we're really proactive. Neighborhood watch works basically in neighborhoods. We need to establish a business watch. And then if you see something, say something. These crimes don't happen at nighttime. They happen in the middle of the day. So like what Brian said earlier, Prop 47 is the key. We need to basically catch these people, which we do, but they need to stay in prison. And they're not doing that. It's a misdemeanor. All it is a ticket. So we need to be we need to do a better job with Prop 47, repealing it. And if you commit a crime, guess what? You go to jail. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fernandez.
Like the city council members have stated, having these license plate readers are really good for our city, and having a healthy funded police and having a close connection with the police is really helpful. But at the same time, we're just catching criminals, not stopping them. Like I mentioned before, the key thing that ties crime and a public is income inequality. And like I've mentioned, many areas surrounding us, these people come into our city because they know we're a more wealthier city, and they steal here in Chino Hills. And the fact of the matter is, if we had partnerships with other cities, we could actually prevent the crimes from happening before they even happen by working with these other cities to help alleviate poverty. And like I mentioned before, if we have these connections, it'll help us. And like I said before, I have the endorsement of Pomona Mayor Tim Sandoval and Pomona City Council members, and having these endorsements and these connections is key if we want to move forward as a city to stopping crime. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question will start with Mr. Johsz. The Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce is bringing funding, jobs, and career opportunities to Chino Hills residents and businesses through its Upskill Chino Valley program. How can the city of Chino Hills work more closely with the business community to help bring more opportunities to our residents?
I certainly need to commend Zeb and everybody at the Chino Valley Chamber for their diligent efforts, in search of grants to have that kind of a job incubator. I think as a city, we certainly need to make sure that we make that connection between residents and the chamber itself. Because if you're not a business owner, you really have no interactions with the chamber. You just don't. Other than the business expo that we're going to be seeing over the weekend, which make sure you can go, and then make your way over to the St. Paul Harvest Festival. But we need to do a better job with making sure we make that connection, because people know in theory what a chamber of commerce is, but in all practicality, residents don't. So maybe that would be a nice conduit for us as a city to bridge that gap.
Thank you. Mr. Marquez.
Thank you, sir. First of all, I want to commend the chamber. They raised well over $2 million from Connie Leva and then also from Freddie Rodriguez for this program. So kudos to the chamber for getting those monies. Logistics in San Bernardino County, that's like our #1 business besides healthcare. So we need to provide education or training for those jobs, because the jobs are in our backyard. We want to reduce greenhouse gases. So if you live close to where you're going to work, overall it's a benefit for everybody. So again, that's what we need to move forward on, to find out what the jobs are in the area and to be able to train people to be able to get those jobs. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fernandez.
And could you repeat the question one more time?
The Chino Valley Chamber is bringing funding, jobs, and career opportunities to Chino Hills residents and businesses through its Upskill Chino Valley program. How can the city of Chino Hills work more closely with the business community to help bring more opportunities?
Once again, it comes down to communication. Like Mr. Johsz well pointed out, most people have no idea what the Chamber of Commerce does or is. The only reason I found out what it is because I just wanted to know how I could be more in touch with my owner when I was at Infusion Zone. And she was really struggling, and you wouldn't know it if you wouldn't go to this YouTube video with like 4 views, and it's hiding under all these search results. So the more communication we could have with our city and our businesses, the better. And like the council members have been saying, any grants we could find would be really helpful. And once again, what's been really missing in this city is working with unions just to make sure that we're not just creating jobs for creating the sake of jobs, that these jobs are well paying so people could actually afford to live here in Chino Hills. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Liu.
Yeah, as I said before, we have a growing diverse populations. So as far as City of Chino Hills goes, to help out doing something for Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce, we should bring more Asian businessmen, Asian business organization to the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce, creating a win-win situation. And more than that, City of Chino Hills should improve the relationship between Asian community and Chino government, city government. Because as today, from the Asian community, we feel that Chino Hills city government is little bit biased toward Asian. So that has to be changed. And then we need more businessmen join the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce. That's all. Thank you.
Here, here. Thank you. All right, we'll start with you, Mr. Marquez, on the next one.
Do we actually go to everybody? Seems like you're always
Did
coming
I
to me
miss?
first.
Did I don't think. Yeah, I think we did. We're just moving. Hey, life comes at you fast, Ray. Okay. What are two accomplishments you've had over the last 5 years that make you the proudest?
You know what? I got more than two. First of all, power lines in Chino Hills. You don't see the towers anymore, right? They're down. That was a big accomplishment.
That's good.
No kill in Chino Hills as far as dogs and cats. We were the first city with IVHS to be a no-kill city. Equestrian overlay. We allowed our horse people, equestrian people, to be able to run a business out of the residential area, which was illegal. Dog park. It was something back in the middle 1990s. We wanted a dog park. Peter voted on that, like myself, on Parks and Recs. We actually accomplished that. We accomplished a park in Los Serranos. From day one, as soon as we became a city, they wanted a park in Los Serranos. It took almost 30 years to get it, but we did it. Pickleball. I got hammered for pickleball, and I worked on that, and we got it done. We're going to even put some lights up fairly soon, hopefully by December, January. And then Tres Hermanos. What a gem that we have. It was going to either be 10,000 houses, or it was going to be a solar farm. We fought, and we actually became partners with the City of Industry and also the City of Diamond Bar. I'm very proud of all those accomplishments. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fernandez, two accomplishments.
Well, I'm really proud of myself. No thanks in part to my family for being in college and being a Latino, and in a month about to get my first of 3 associate's degrees. I mean, for us Latinos, you know, racial discrimination and such across systemic racism that's been going on from the Mexican Repatriation Act and such, just a history of systemic racism, to see not just Latino, but myself succeeding in higher education, it's really an impact, and I hope my siblings can learn or two at what I'm doing, being a leader in the programs I'm in community college, and also just running for office, because let's be honest, you never expected a 20-year-old to be up here debating with everyone else who's been here for a while. So I'm proud of myself for that, for taking the, what's the phrase? I'm proud of myself for just running for office, because not many people do it, and talking to community members that feel like they've been left behind by the city council is just an honor. Many people say, if you don't win this time, for the next time, and the next time, we need you, Diego. And I'm like, whoa. I'm just getting started. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Liu.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Thank you very much, give me the opportunity. And ladies and gentlemen, sitting right next to each other, we have 2 running people. One is the youngest, another one is oldest. I am the oldest. He's the youngest. Being the first generation of American immigrant, I'm very happy to come to the United States. And I owe a lot of gratitude to my former professor and my mentors at Xerox. So I make the American dream come true. Okay? So from a person have a nothing, and then right now I have a successful business, and then I have a successful career, and then I training a lot of engineers and a lot of medical people, and they are more successful than I am, and I'm so proud of it. I will do better to serve Chino Hills City Council, because I know both sides. I know I'm the residents as well as being in the government.
Thank you.
you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Johsz.
All right, so would you mind repeating the question so we...
Yes, what are two accomplishments you've had over the last 5 years that you're most proud of?
All right, well, I think, in terms of being on the city council, Trace Romano certainly has to be up there at the top. It was a lot of consternation over lawsuits and skullduggery with other cities, and to now finally have those thousands of acres set aside, as a part of the Conservation Authority is a wonderful gift to future generations of Chino Hills and Diamond Bar residents. So that'd be number one, and then I think number two would certainly be Los Serranos Park, the first park we have in that neighborhood. It took a lot of time. It's on land that's leased from Chino Valley Unified School District, which was a first in the area, having to go through the state architect for approval, going through the State Department of Education and the governor's office. That park was a labor of love. And when you drive by and you see people having birthdays there and the mobile rec van there, it's being utilized. So I think those are probably my top two. Thank you.
Thank you. So looks like we have time for maybe 2-3 more questions. We will start the next one. We'll start with you, Mr. Fernandez. The question is, as a city council member, how would you coordinate efforts with other municipalities and agencies to manage expected growth in the region?
Well, once again, all these issues quite seemingly come down to communication. The more you're in contact with people, the better you're well informed, the more you're dealing with the news. So just being in contact with people, talking with them, because at the end of the day, like being on the city council, if you want to get things done, if you have an idea, you have to talk to someone. And with that, these people get together and they take action and help the city get better. So if I'm on the city council, I will talk to every department, make sure no department's neglected, and have a city council that works with every commission. And if we're all together, unison, like a well-oiled steam machine, then there shouldn't be no way that we should be falling behind. And not to say the city council is not falling behind, but hypothetically, if we were to be falling behind, if we're all together and well coordinated, then it shows that we as a city are thriving. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Liu.
Could you repeat the question?
Yes. As a city council member, how would you coordinate efforts with other municipalities and agencies to manage expected growth in the region?
Yeah, I think number one is, of course, communication. But besides commission, you do a lot of visitation to personally see different agents rather than sitting in the office, and get in touch with the city residents, have an outreach program. And then only at the city council office do the homework, and then do the outreach to improve for different connections, and more care about city residents' need. Thank you. That's what I'm concerned.
Thank you. Mr. Johsz.
All right. Regional problems need regional solutions. And I think we've certainly seen that with the growth of warehousing. If residents aren't aware, be ready for what's coming to this region. With the growth that you're going to see in Chino, in East Vale, in Harupa, in South Ontario, all of those people are going to try to make their way through Chino Hills. They're going to try to fight their way to the 91. They're going to try to go through Carbon Canyon. And we need to have a regional solution to moving people around Chino Hills, hopefully, and not through it. And that's where, as a city, we've really made a big effort to work with Caltrans, both in the district that encompasses Chino Hills and the district that encompasses Brea, to make sure that we can streamline traffic through there, because we see the storm that's coming. It's going to be growth. It's going to be a lot of other people, and the only way to deal with it is to have those relationships with our partnering cities and mayors and government officials.
Thank you. Mr. Marquez.
You know what, it's not that this is something I'm going to do. I'm already doing it. I'm with SCAG, Southern California Association of Governments. I'm on the regional council. We represent 191 cities throughout Southern California, and I'm one of the board of directors. I'm also the chairperson for the Transportation Committee. I also sit on Cal Cities. I am on the board of directors there. Out of 6 people throughout Southern California, I'm one of the 6, and I got appointed by the state. I'm also the chairperson for public safety. So I'm chairing that. So Prop 47, like I said earlier, is important to me. So I'm going to have a say-so throughout the state of California. SBCTA, San Bernardino Transportation Authority. I sit on that. I'm the board of directors. I'm also the chairperson for Transit Committee. So what I'm doing today, I'm bringing people together, we're collaborating, and we're trying to come up with solutions to the problems in the regions. Thank you.
Thank you. Looking at the clock, I think this will be our last question. We will lead off with you, Mr. Liu. We, of course, have historically low unemployment, which is really terrifically good news. It's also a challenge for us. It creates a workforce shortage, and the workforce shortage is impacting businesses and their ability to grow. What is your plan to help make sure that our businesses have the workforce they need to grow their business?
It's me, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I sure hope we need the building more, what they call, bring the manufacturing back to United States. So in these cases, Chino Hills have a very good position. So more manufactured job in Chino Hills. And then at the same time, making more connection to the education facility. Because in order to have a better plan, business had to make money. At the same time, the business need more educated people to help to bring the manufacturer back to United States or bring it back to San Bernardino County. Okay, so that's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Johsz.
All right, I think we certainly need to make sure we work with Chino Valley Unified School District. We need an educated workforce, and educated doesn't necessarily mean you're going to college. I grew up in a union ironworker family, and the trades are what helped us, move up and move on, and get from there move families, move people into colleges. So we need to invest in trades, craft, and also make sure that our kids, if they do want to go to college, are prepared. Whether it is going to a community college or going directly to a 4-year university or a private school, we need to ensure that that we have an educated workforce in whatever way you want to provide for your family, whatever you want to do for for a career. We need to make sure that we have that. And as a city, I know we've always done our best to have internships and try to have as many folks as we can come here to learn their trades. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Marquez.
Thank you, sir. You know what, I was very fortunate. I got invited by Mrs. Yarboy, the principal from Ayala High School, and there's an award called the Silver Bell. So there's state people that actually attended this class, and I got invited. And I was so impressed. It was an API class for engineering and computer science. Our kids are amazing in Chino Hills. One of the things I want to say about our school district, everybody graduated from high school last year. What an accomplishment. I wish other cities could do that, but we did it. I need to communicate more with our supervisor, Kurt Hagman, to get resources for our kids in our community, to get them ready for the future. I need to talk to Josh Newman, our senator, personal friend. He's there for the kids in the community. I need to collaborate with him. Phil Chin. And then there's a new gentleman coming into the picture, Mr. Serrato, that will be our senator in the near future, and I'll be having discussions with him to get resources for our kids for the future. So that's what I'm going to be doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fernandez.
Could you read the question? I kind of got lost, but
Workforce shortage is impacting businesses and their ability to grow. What is your plan to help make sure that our businesses have the workforce they need to grow?
I think it ties back to the state-mandated developments. I believe this could really transform our city for the better. Not only do we save our green open space, but once again, if people live near their homes, they're going to want to work with the jobs that are right next to their homes. And if we have this development right next to the homes, then that means people could just walk to work. And who wouldn't want to walk to work? You save gas, you exercise. It's a win-win situation. And on top of that, like I've been saying, it saves our open space here in Chino Hills, which a lot of people deeply care about, since we do have 44 parks and do have the state park. So any way we could help businesses by putting development right next to them so they shop locally, they work locally, will be really beneficial for our city in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you all for great answers to a lot of questions. We now will move on to closing statements for everyone. We'll go in reverse order of how we started. And remember that we have 2 minutes, so he'll keep you on track over here. And we'll start with you, Mr. Johsz, your closing statement.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you again to the Chino Valley Chamber for hosting this. Thank you to my fellow candidates that came tonight. And I greatly have been, I appreciate the opportunity for the last 6 years to have been on the city council, and prior to that to have been on the Chino Valley Fire Board. Public service is truly that. It's serving the public. It's making sure that we're here for the right reasons and that we're here to serve you. And I think throughout all of that, it's certainly been something that I've been able to accomplish, and that's why I'm running for another 4 years. In my opening statement, I talked about wanting to make this my home, and that's the reason why we moved here. And I am on the city council and ran because I want to ensure that we have the best city possible. So we have, to the prior question, so we have a city that when kids graduate, they come back. They come back and they live here. They want to make this their home. They want to start their businesses here. And as a city, I think we've done a phenomenal job making it through COVID, making it through, everything. And I think we're in a wonderful position to weather, the recession that we're in and what looks like it's coming down the road. So, as voters of the 4th District, I ask you for another 4 years. I appreciate the trust you gave me 4 years ago, and hope for another go. So thank you very much. Oh, I haven't talked about endorsements. Endorsed by the police and firefighter unions, endorsed by our district attorney, our congresswoman, assembly member, my colleagues. I think that's about it for now. So, they trust me. I would hope that you would continue to trust me into the future. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Liu, your closing statement.
I thought go down there.
They were going this way.
Oh, go this way. Okay, thank you. I once again want to thank the City of Council, City Hill staff, the Chamber of Commerce, and our moderator, Mr. Fried. He has done a great job for hosting today. As I attempted to share today's forum, it's time for more inclusive representation for all residents, especially in District 1. City services are more expensive and response time is slower than before. The budget and customer service process need to be improved. We have a growing, diverse population, especially in District 1, which is now 53% Asian. My desire to assure that their needs are being recognized and met. City service must improve and evolving to meet the needs of all. My knowledge as a businessman and as scientist may be able to help. As I may have indicated during the forum, we need more manufacturing as well as logistic-based industry in our region. Chino Hills has the talent, has the education level, and will support these changes. we can have a brighter future together if we only take the time to realize this vision. Okay, so certain portion of the population is not being served properly. Ladies and gentlemen, as president and chairman of the board of Chinese American Association of Chino Hills, we feel that Asian is being ignored by the city councilmen. And more than
you,
that,
Mr. Liu.
when they need money, they come to us.
Thank you, sir.
We need service, they disappear.
Mr. Fernandez, your closing statement.
Folks, I want to present with you two options. We have a vote for the past or a vote for the future. We could continue on this current path we are on the Chino Hills City Council and have a vote for the past, where many residents, especially in Los Serranos, say that communication has not been efficient, has not been there, where we are angry at development, but we don't use it to our advantage, and we do nothing about inflation. Or we can use it for a vote for the future, to invest in not only our future, but Chino Hills' own future, as I'm the only candidate who's been born and raised here in Chino Hills, as I want to use development for advantage, and not only use the development for advantage, but help aid businesses. I want to help lower inflation for our Chino Hills residents, who fairly deserve their energy and internet bills lowered. And I want to give Los Serranos the desperate voice it's needed, as it is the oldest community in Chino Hills, yet there's never been a city council member from the area. Los Serranos deserves this. Los Serranos deserves this attention, and I'm here to do it. Once again, I want to reiterate that not only do the people of Chino Hills in my district have my back, but so do Pomona City Council members Victor Preciado, Nora Garcia, John Nolte, Three Valleys Municipal Water Director, District 1 Division Director, Carlos Goitia, the United Food and Commercial Workers 1167, the Inland Empire Labor Council AFL-CIO, which is the labor council of San Bernardino, where they get together and they endorse the candidate that best fights for working class individuals in the area. Resident Brenda Walker, Chino's high school teachers Bill Acker and Raul Gomez, and I'm happy to say that I was just recently endorsed by Pomona Mayor Tim Sandoval, as they all understand the struggle that's going on for our city today and the great improvements we could make. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Marquez, your closing statement.
Thank you. You know what, I've been elected since 2013. I used to look at my picture back in 2013, I had black hair. Now I got gray hair. But my goal is to make everybody happy. And it sounds to me, I mean, if there's one person that's unhappy, I'm going to do something about it. So as far as endorsements, yes, I guess Tim gives endorsements to everybody. I got Tim's endorsement too, the Pomona mayor. He's actually a really personal, good friend of mine. I probably have 80% of all the elected officials in San Bernardino County endorsing me. I have my Assembly Member Phil Chin, State Senator Josh Newman, hopefully Senator Sayardo, Congresswoman Norma Torres, Congresswoman Young Kim, Supervisor Kurt Hagman, I can't forget him or I'd be in trouble. But this city means a whole lot to me. I've been here for 39 years. Yes, you've been here for 20, but I've been here longer than you. So all three of my kids basically grown up in Chino Hills. This is my community, this is my home, and I want this city to be the very best. And you know what? It is. So thank you for attending here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. I personally want to thank all of you for being here tonight. I think it's incredibly important for our community to hear what you have to say. And I believe this program will be available on YouTube, like our Chino program was a couple of weeks ago. And I'd just like to say that it's not too old-fashioned to think that people of goodwill can disagree. We had a good civil and constructive discourse this evening. Would like to see more of that in this country. And thank you all. We appreciate your candor. We appreciate your dedication to the community. And on behalf of the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce, wish you all the very best in the upcoming election. Good night.